Hello everyone and welcome to How Good Are Madoka&Iroha. And we're not talking about special versions of Madoka&Iroha. These are just regular Madoka and regular Iroha, which is a disappointment to a lot of people, but does that mean they're gonna have to be a bad unit? Well, let's figure out. Let's figure out how good these guys actually are as a gameplay unit. So we're gonna start out and see that they are a light type unit with 2 Excel discs, 2 charge discs. They are an Exceed type. Okay, this already is rather interesting because as we're gonna see later on in this review, the fact that they are an Exceed type actually is kind of important. So Exceed type basically just means that it just modifies how much MP they get when they use an Excel disk, for example. It does a bunch of other stuff, but most importantly, how much MP do they get when they use an Excel disk? So Magia type, for example, gets 120% MP, support 120, ultimate 110, heal 100, attack 100, and Exceed, it's the same as balance, only 90%. Basically, when they use an Excel disk, they get less MP than other characters that are, for example, Magia type or support type. They get more MP per Excel disk than these guys get, which already doesn't look too good for them. But that by itself doesn't really mean a whole lot, right? Their Excel disks might not get that much MP, but let's keep moving on. Let's see if they have a bunch of stuff to them that might actually be really powerful. So as we're moving on, we see that their stats, and because Exceed is very similar in stat distribution to balance, it's basically just balance plus is, I think, the best way to think about what Exceed actually means. And this just means that they have a lot of HP, a lot of attack, and a lot of defense. Now, they might not be the best at HP or the best at attack, the best at defense, but they're pretty good in all of these different aspects. They're very balanced stats, as you might expect. And if you combine all of their stats, like if you sum up all of the stats, I think you come up with some of the highest combined stats out of all the characters in the game. Which sounds overpowered at first, but at the same time, HP and defense isn't really that important to most characters. To most characters, attack is the most important, at least if they are damage dealers. It's different for supports, but at least if you are a damage dealer, the only thing that really matters is attack, and how much defense or HP you have doesn't really matter that much. But they do have a good spread across all the different stats, and they do have a decent amount of attack at least. Now, if I just very quickly go over and look at their personal is the following. It gives attack up 20%, defense up 30%, and status aiming resistance up 30%. That sounds like a bit of a weird personal because it's a bit of everything. And how do you actually treat one of these personals that give a little bit of everything? Well, we can actually find 2 different memoria that are very much the same. First off, it's the Token Memoria. It also gives 20% attack up and it also gives 30% status aim resistance up. And this is actually a very good Memoria, one of the best Memoria in the game probably. The attack up is only 20% instead of 25%, which is a little bit of a downgrade to most other Memoria that give attack up. However, there are a lot of places in the game, most notably in mirrors like ranked mirrors or tournament mirrors, especially tournament mirrors, where enemies might use status aimants against you. There are also some Kimochi that use status aimants against you, and having some innate status aimant resistance against that is very important. So this already seems pretty good to have a Memoria that is basically the exact same as that, but on top of that, you also get some defense. Awesome. By the way, the other second Memoria that is basically the same is a Memoria in the same gacha. We're gonna talk about this one later. For now, let's just remember that we're gonna come back to this one, and it's basically the same. But back to the personal. The personal overall is pretty good. It has the same effect as a Foster Memoria that is really good. However, even though it has the same effects as that Foster Memoria over here, and it also has the defense up, it's actually, in my opinion, not as good as this Memoria. Why? Because this Memoria, because it's a 4-star, gives more HP and more attack than this over here, which only gives like 1,000 less or 800 less attack and 800 less HP, which is a downgrade over that other Memoria. And the defense up on there simply isn't that important. compared to having that 1,000 or 800 more attack, however when you round it. So overall, this is still a very good personal. But in my opinion, it does lose out on some of its usefulness by the fact that it's just not a 4-star, which is of course the same for every single person. Like every single personal loses out on not being a 4-star, but it's specifically important on this one because there is a 4-star Memoria that does basically the same, but better because it is a 4-star Memoria. Getting back to the units though, if you scroll down here, we see that their connect looks very simple, gives damage up. Damage up is usually better than attack up simply because there's already that many attack up sources in the game. You're probably gonna overcap on attack up. So instead, we're gonna use some attack up because it's not that easy to overcap on the damage up instead. So it's usually more useful. It also gives a bit of HP restore, which not that important. I mean, there are some places in ranked mirrors, because ranked mirrors you get more points at the end of the battle the more HP your guys have. So if you finish with more HP, you get more points in ranked mirrors. So an HP restore connect can be useful sometimes, but for the most part, you're gonna heal yourself with Magia or Doppels, and you're not really with connects. However, it gives MP restore, and this is where suddenly we get into why this unit is really good. If you compare the connect of Madoka&Iroha to the connect of regular Madoka, we will see it's basically the same plus damage up. So regular Madoka also heals, and it also gives MP restore, just like Madoka&Iroha, the duo unit does. The only difference is that, of course, Madoka&Iroha, they also give damage up. They can also be offensive, not in that way, with their connect, which is really good to have if you're playing like a team that tries to push for damage with the connect as well. But more importantly, the main reason why Madoka is still being played in many whale teams, and in case you don't know about this, many Kimochi whale teams that go for Magia, actually every single Kimochi hyper whale team that plays purely a Magia team, like not like charge Magia, but just purely Magia team, will have a Madoka on there. Like 99% of them will have a Madoka on there. Why? Well, one of the reasons is the connect. They want to get as much MP as possible in as little discs as possible. And one of those is of course the connect, giving a crap ton of MP on their connect, crap ton of MP on the connect, which is really, really good. And Madoka&Iroha, they also do that. They also give a crap ton of MP on their connect, so they can already fulfill the same role connect-wise as regular Madoka. Now, if you move on, what else is it about regular Madoka that makes her so appealing to whales in Kimochi? Well, like I said, you want to get as much MP as possible per disc used. And what else would be giving you that much MP per disc than having a Magia or a Doppel that gives MP restore to everyone? Same reason why Mayu is also one of the top picks for Magia teams in Kimochi, any Kimochi, no matter what type, even if it's like a forest type, you still use Mayu in there for Magia teams, because the MP regeneration that Mayu gives on Magia is just that good. So yeah, this is the second reason why Madoka and Mayu is used that much, is because Magia and Doppel also gives that much MP to everyone. Can Madoka&Iroha do the same? Can they also give that much MP to everyone on Magia and Doppel? Well, sadly no. Their Magia does not give MP restore, but their Doppel does. And you can just play them for doppling and they're gonna be great. However, let's take a step back and actually look through all of what their Magia does. Their Magia has attribute strength and damage to all enemies. Attribute strength and damage, in case this is the first time you hear about this, basically just means that, you know how usually light type units deal bonus damage to dark type? Or just, like in general, every single element deals bonus damage to some other element, of course, right? But attribute strength damage means that you do even more damage to the weak element. So in this case, since they are a light type, they don't just do super effective damage against dark type, they do even more super effective damage against dark type. They absolutely shred dark type to pieces with attribute strength and damage, which is really important because if you're fighting a boss, like a Kimochi that is dark type, this means that you really want to have an attribute strength from damage Magia or Doppel to get the most amount of damage that you can. You really want to shred that dark type as much as possible, and attribute strength from damage will give you that shred. On top of that, it also buffs the entire team for blast damage up, charge up, and excel up. So it buffs all 3 discs. All 3 discs get buffed: blast up, charge up, and excel up. 4 at Magia level 5, 40%, 40%, 30%. Oh, that's a lot. That is actually quite a lot. And on Doppel, or Magia 2 in this case, it's even more for 5 turns instead of 3 turns. You need only one of these Magia and your discs are supercharged for basically the entire Kimochi, which is already absurd. Already absurd that just one of these supercharges all discs for the entire battle in a Kimochi. That just itself is already really good for Kimochi. But it continues. It also gives anti-debuff, which sounds a bit weird for Kimochi. Like, yeah, Kimochi sometimes use debuffs against you, but for example, the Kimochi that we had like a week ago or a few days ago, depending on when you watch this, it debuffed your entire team with MP down and with Excel down. And so it tried to make you not want to use Magia. So the top strategies, they just use Charge and Blast. And because the top strategies use Charge and Blast, it doesn't matter that you got debuff with Magia down. You're not going to use Magia anyway, right? So anti-debuff doesn't actually matter that much if you're playing a specific strategy that the Kimochi doesn't give a shit about. But that still said, there are still plenty of debuffs in this game that you might want to avoid with this. Let's say, for example, you're playing ranked mirrors. You get an early Magia out with this character, and then the enemy team is going to try to Meteor Rain your team. But you just say, you want to Meteor Rain my team? Get out of here. I have anti-debuff. You can't Meteor Rain my team. Negotiator? You can't Negotiator my team. I have anti-debuff. Now keep in mind, this anti-debuff protects you only from 1 debuff, and Meteor Rain actually gives 2 debuffs in once. But let's just imagine the enemy tries to do a Negotiator, which is 1 debuff. Everyone just blocks that at once. Great. Maybe if later on during this review we're able to find something that negates 2 debuffs at once and not just 1, we can stack those 2 to negate both a Meteor Rain and a Negotiator. That sounds quite overpowered. Well, let's see if that's going to be part of this review. They also give Barrier, which is just bonus HP, which is fine, not actually that important. I mean, even down here, even at Doppel, it's 8,000 damage Barrier, not that important. Barrier would be a lot more important if it was passive. Like, if it passively gave everyone Barrier, that would be so much more powerful. But on Doppel, I guess it's fine, it's strong, it's good, but it's not overpowered. It's not overpowered. They also heal, which is good for ranked mirrors. So once again, more stuff for ranked mirrors. If you Magia on ranked mirrors, you heal everyone. And like I said, in ranked mirrors, you get more points the higher your HP is. So if you get a Magia out or a Doppel out, which heals for 100%, you just get more points. Amazing, more points. And then on top of that, if you do a Doppel, if you do a Magia 2 in this case, which is the Doppel, do MP restore as well, and this is where it gets amazing. So I said, you guys know how I said earlier that regular Madoka is so overpowered because she gives MP on Connect and she gives MP on Magia and Doppel. Well, we can still give MP on Doppel. We can still give everyone 35. It's not actually 35. Let me quickly change this. It's actually 34. So it's actually 34 MP on a Magia 2, which, damn, that is a lot of, first of all, that's a lot of effect at once. Secondly, the MP restore the same way that Madoka gives MP restore to everyone. I think we have someone on our hands who can do basically the same thing that Madoka does, and Madoka is already a main unit in Kimochi, but better. Because these guys also buff everyone with super high discs, and against Dark type they have attribute strength from damage. And then we get into the Spirit Enhancement, and oh my god, the Spirit Enhancement. I need to take off my glasses because whenever I take my glasses, serious time. Serious time. The Spirit Enhancement is where it gets absolutely fucking ridiculous. Now, I can't see anything that's on screen now because I'm blind without glasses, but I still know where these bonuses are. This right here, I hope, is the regenerate 12 MP per turn. Now, you regenerate 12 MP per turn, which is ridiculous, especially because this gets increased by MP up. If you have MP up bonuses, this gets increased by that. And not just that, if you have MP up bonuses, this MP restore gets increased, although it's on the target. So if the target for this connect has MP up bonuses, not Excel up bonuses, but MP up bonuses, they're gonna get more from this. And on the Magia too, everyone who has MP up also gets bonus MP from this. But if they themselves have MP up bonuses, they will also get bonus MP from this right here. What else do they have? Well, it's gonna be even. We're gonna go down the list of like we're gonna rank these from how ridiculous they are. Okay, the regenerate MP is up there. What else is really powerful? Well, it's the aiming resistance. Yeah, it's the aiming resistance is also pretty darn powerful. But there's still 2 points left on our top 3. Our top 3 of most powerful effects on this character is these two. The other two are these two. First off, they give everyone on the entire team and 2, it doesn't say this by the way here, but it gives everyone 2 anti-debuff shields. It gives everyone 2 anti-ailment shields. So the very first 2 debuffs and the very first 2 ailments that hit anyone on your team, and this counts for any member specifically, are just ignored. So for example, if the enemy Mito reigns, which is 2 debuffs, you just ignore the entire thing. If an enemy, for example, tries to, like let's say for example, you have a 5-man team, okay? You play Madoka&Iroha, you play this unit together with, let's say for example, a Karin, because Karin is amazing. You have Karin on that team, and then this Karin, she gets stunned twice. She gets hit by a stun twice. Guess what? Because she has this shield from Madoka&Iroha, which passively activates at the start of the battle, she ignores those 2 stuns. And she doesn't get stunned. Then afterwards, the enemy tries to dazzle. It tries to dazzle your Madoka&Iroha twice. Well, you still have the shields. You still have those 2 shields on Madoka&Iroha. They're just gonna ignore that. You're basically immune against ailments and debuffs for fucking ever because it's 2 of them. How many enemy fights, like how many enemies are in this game that actually do more than 2 debuffs, more than 2 ailments against you before you win the battle? Doesn't happen that often. You're just gonna be absolutely fine. This is absolutely ridiculous, especially in ranked mirrors. In ranked mirrors, where enemies Mito-rain you, where enemies give you a negotiator, you just ignore that stuff. You just ignore that and you don't give a shit. So already, I hope I have given you guys enough reason to assume that this unit is really, really good in ranked mirrors, right? They have the ability to ignore enemy Mito-rains, ignore enemy negotiators. They have the heal on both Connect and Magia to make sure you get more points when you win the battle. Amazing. And I want to show you guys something else later that is also really, really good for ranked mirrors. But also for Kimochi. Because here's the thing. They also give all this up, Excel up, Blast up, and Charge up for 5 turns at the beginning of a battle, which is both amazing for Kimochi and for mirrors. It's because it just passively happens at the beginning of a battle. How broken is that? I still can't believe that, okay? I still can't believe that they have this much incredibly ridiculous stuff on their unit. On top of that, on top of all of that, they have Excel Draw as an SE active, which no one else has, by the way. It's the first unit in the entire game that has SE active Excel Draw, which means this right here is available turn 1 in mirrors. If you go into mirrors on turn 1, you have this Excel Draw, which means you can do if you really are a hyper whales will use characters like Sai, who have turn 1 charge draw on SE active. So they'll do turn 1 charge draw with their SE active, and then turn 2 they can now do Excel draw, which is absolutely amazing. They just do turn 2 Excel draw, so they can turn 1 get 10 charges, get a whole bunch of points for having many charges, then immediately transition those 10 charges into Excel discs on an Excel combo, so that on turn 3 they can use multiple doppels and Magia to end the game. And guess what? When you do that, that's like one of those Excel discs that you're going to use with those 10 charge discs. It's going to be an Excel disc for Madoka&Iroha. So they're going to get to Magia, and when they get to Magia, they heal the entire team. And healing gives more points in ranked mirrors. This team is made for ranked mirrors. This team is made for ranked. It perfectly slots into so many good strategies for ranked mirrors, or tournament mirrors, specifically tournament mirrors actually. But at the same time, because of their passive bonuses, are also really good for Kimochi, especially against dark type Kimochi, where they just buff everyone really hard, while at the same time, they're not just the damage dealt against dark type Kimochi, they also give so much MP restore that they're also better than the best support. The best Magia support in Kimochi is Madoka. They're even better than that. That they are the best Kimochi supports. They are among the best ranked and tournament mirrors supports. And against dark type Kimochi, they are the best damage dealer.
Have you guys realized yet that these guys are actually really goddamn fucking overpowered in so many high-end whale tier situations?
Holy shit, these guys are overpowered in whale tier situations. If you are a whale in Magia Record, if you're a whale, you're probably rolling for every character anyway. But you're specifically rolling for these guys because of how goddamn fucking broken they are. They are specifically my favorite. I haven't even talked about their EX skill. It just buffs their Doppler and Magia and makes them immune to Magia Seal. This is the least important part about their entire character, but it is worth noting that they get bonus Doppel and Magia damage, because why the fuck not? These guys were specifically made to cater to whales, specifically made to cater to Mirrors players, specifically made to cater to Kimochi players, and they're so goddamn good at what they do. However, and this is something to note, there's two major downsides of this unit. Actually 3. Okay, give me 3 major downsides. First off, they don't actually buff your damage output that much. They don't give Magia damage up, they don't give attack up, they don't give damage up through their Magia or Doppel. A lot of other characters do either buff themselves and or others with attack up or damage up or Magia up. They don't do any of that. They only buff discs and then give a bunch of other stuff like MP restore, like auxiliary stuff. Secondly, out of those 3 things, because they are Exceed type, they don't actually get as much per Excel discs than other characters. Thirdly, out of those 3 things, because they only have 2 Excel discs and not 3 Excel discs, if you use Excel draw on these guys, they might not get a Puella combo, or just in general, they might not draw Excel combos as often naturally as other characters that would be Excel gorillas. So they would be way better as Excel gorillas. I feel like they intentionally are not Excel gorillas, because if they were, they would be way more broken even. So having 2 charges is kind of a way of nerfing them, because they don't have charge bonuses. Like, they have charges damage up like 10%. That's about it. That's all they have really for making their charge discs better. So them not having really any good charge bonuses, but having 2 charges is like a way of nerfing them in a way, because they would be way more powerful if they had like even like 3 Excel discs. Oh my god. So overall, they're really goddamn fucking good if you want to do high-end tier gameplay. If you want to do like whale mirrors, whale Kimochi, they're amazing. And you can also, of course, take them into regular EX 100 Evils quests as well, and they're going to be great. that's basically all I have to say about them. If you want to do high tier stuff, you need those guys. At 4 slot, you really need them at 4 slot. Why? Because their EX skill gets better at 4 slot, because of course it does. Now that we've talked about all of that, let's move on, because we're not actually quite done yet. We're almost done, but not quite. We have 2 Memoria we need to talk about. First off, grease from the outside. This Memoria is basically the same as their personal, with just damage cut instead of defense up. I already said that we're going to come back to this. It's good. It's a really good one. It's basically the same one as the Token Memoria, but because the Token Memoria is unlimited, but this one is limited, it gets to be a little bit better. And this little bit better just means it gets damage cut, which the damage cut is not that important for the most part. It's just good to have something that gives a lot of attack up and resistance, because resistance might be important against some Kimochi, against some mirrors enemies, so it's a nice thing to have. But I wouldn't call this thing overpowered. This thing is not overpowered, it's just really good, but not overpowered. Next up, this is overpowered. So here we have Magia sniping Magia. It's called intruding on our daily life. Some people call it sniping Magia, some people call it fucking firing line Magia, because this thing, if it's MLB, gives 17.5% Magia damage up, which is not a lot, but it gives it to all characters. And there are only a handful of Memoria in the entire game that give bonuses to every single character. It's a very rare thing in this game to have an effect that gets applied to all characters. So just by nature of being something that gets applied to every single character on your field, it's already more powerful than you might assume. Because buffing yourself with 30% Magia damage up, for example, just as an example, is only useful when you yourself use a Magia or a Doppel, right? But if someone else uses a Magia or a Doppel, buffing yourself does absolutely nothing. But what if you could buff someone else with a bunch of Magia damage up? Wouldn't that be really, really good? Especially because imagine you're running this on supports. Supports don't do any damage. Supports don't care about dealing damage, so they don't really care that much about increasing their own damage. But what if your supports could increase the damage of your damage dealers? Wouldn't that be really fucking good? And that is why this is an amazing Memoria. However, there is one other Memoria that is very, very similar to this that most people have probably already thought about when they have thought about this Memoria. So if we scroll down and we look at the Memoria down here, there's one Memoria that sticks out to a lot of people. They go like, oh wait a second, this Memoria, it's this one. Peace to this battered dad land, the Nemu Memoria. Nemu, by the way, is best girl, but look at this. This is basically the very same kind of Memoria. It just gives Magia up to everyone on the team. And this right here is, by the way, is one of the most used Memoria for whale teams on Kimochi. Like whale Kimochi teams use this on every single character just to buff everyone. Okay, maybe not everyone, but most characters on that team will use this Memoria. And this is just the same. There are some differences though. First off, it also gives defense down, but the defense down is very, very little. It's so little defense down, it basically doesn't matter really at all. But on another hand, this one on non-MLB is 10% Magia down and Magia up, and on MLB is 12.5%, so it only increases by a little bit on MLB. However, this one is also 10% on non-MLB, the same as this one. These are basically the same. Non-MLB, these two are basically the same, because 15% defense down doesn't really matter. Who gives a shit? It's just 50%, doesn't matter. These are basically the same at MLB 1, at non-MLB. However, once you get to MLB, this one goes from 10 to 12.5. This one goes from 10 to 17.5. This one increases by a lot once it's MLB. Now, unless you get really, really, really lucky and you get like 7 of these copies while you're rolling for Madoka&Iroha, so you can MLB one of them and still have like 2 left, you're probably not going to be able to make use of that. Now, the reason why it says 7, because I got 7. I've already rolled for Madoka&Iroha and I've got 7 of these. I MLB'd one of them. I MLB'd one of this, which means I have 1 MLB of this, 1 MLB of that, and still have like 2 normal of these left, which is really, really good. Unless you have that many copies, you probably just want to keep all of those at non-MLB so you can like spread them out across your team. And yeah, that's the last of the Memoria. So overall, that's basically all I want to talk about. Really, really good. As you would expect, every single anniversary is so goddamn stacked that you probably want to roll for the unit. Now, as I said, I have rolled for them. If you want to know what happened, I spent 355 rolls on this gacha to get to Madoka&Iroha in 355 rolls, and 4 spooks. I got spooked 4 times. I have a video on it. If you guys want to see my video of me rolling for this, it's in the description. I'm gonna put it in the description. I rolled for these on my alt as well. My alt got 3 spooks in 1 Madoka&Iroha. And off stream, I rolled another time. I got another spook, so I got 4 spooks in 1 Madoka&Iroha in 350 rolls on my alternate account. So I didn't have good luck. I actually had really good luck. Yeah, I spoiled the entire video now, but at least I had Mitama coins and Destiny crystals to help me get a 4 slot anyway. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. And also it's a really long video, but anniversary units are really, really important. Anniversary units are the most important units of the entire year, so I had to spend this much time on it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.